Okay, so I'd like to introduce this project. First of all, it was inspired by two things. One, a conversation with Moreno a couple of years ago, saying that if you want macrobiotics to grow, you need a definition. I always tried to get my father to do it, and he wouldn't. I'm passing that on to you, and it just clicked. At that time, I was talking to Carl Foray about something else, and he was interested. And we decided to go ahead, and Simon got involved, and the three of us created the first level of the definition that we presented last year. The second thing that inspired it was the Wikipedia entry about macrobiotics, which is so not only overwhelmingly negative and demeaning about what we do, but it's used again and again and again in such a harmful way to everything we're doing. And I tried to change it personally, as did Alex Jack, and we realized Wikipedia is not free. It can't be changed. So we got the idea that rather than doing that, if we create our own definition and get enough people to agree and use it, over time we can outrank Wikipedia. Interestingly enough, for 1 month, the definition page on my website outranked Wikipedia. Came in number 2, WebMD was number 1, I was number 2, Wikipedia was number 3. Of course, I fell down a bit, but it just showed me it's completely possible if we agree and align what we can accomplish. Second, so the intention is, number 1, to outrank Wikipedia, but even more important than that, to unify us as a group, to create an alignment about what we do so that we can have a much needed voice in society. And we can start to voice some of the things that are really close to us. The next thing, so this is really about agreement. It's not about perfection. I'm convinced the perfect definition will come over time. But once we have a starting place and we agree, we have something that we can work on and evolve. And what's amazing to me is that last year we succeeded. I've been involved in a lot of these meetings throughout the years, together with many of you in this group. And I've left unsatisfied and unfulfilled because I couldn't see any clarity or resolution. Okay, what did we accomplish? What's going to happen? Some projects that are not likely. Some did, most didn't. However, as a group, for the first time ever, 45 teachers and people active in macrobiotics agreed on something and stuck with it for a year. To me, that's amazing. And it shows that we've actually turned a corner in macrobiotics. Now, I think we're starting to grow up as a group. You know, to me, it was a huge sign of maturity of what we're doing. So, based on that, then I had worked on another project, which was creating principles and values. Basically, 3 things: who we are, what we do, and why you should join us. So, after last year's meeting, we formed a group, a committee, and Carl was not here. But I called up Carl and I said, are you interested in working on this project of principles and values? And his response was, I can see nothing more important to do, and there's nothing I'd rather do. So yes, of course, I'm in. So it's unfortunate Carl couldn't be with us today, but he was such a intricate part of our group in creation. So again, and Anna's going to introduce it soon, what the principles and values that we've worked on. Anna, Simon, Isabel, Flora was there in the beginning, but there was a language problem of, reading, which I can understand. Myself and Carl Foray. So we met regularly over the last year to create these principles and values that we'd like to present today. And what I'd like to say, this is not about individual expression. It's not my expression completely, it's not Anna's, it's not Simon's, it's not Carl's. there was a lot of give and take, back and forth, to come up with something we felt was expressive of who we are and really what we want to say. And what I ask of you and in your comments, that to consider this, the value that we want a document that does represent our values and our thoughts and what we have to offer, but it's not going to be the perfect document, and it's not going to be anyone's individual expression. Hopefully it'll be our expression together that we can agree on, and use it as much as possible through our websites, through our social media, blogs, etc., in the coming year, so that people can see really what we are and not what Wikipedia and the negativity. So really what I'm trying to say is what we were all hoping for is that we can create another agreement, a larger agreement, because it's a bigger project, knowing that whatever we agree upon will grow and develop and change over time. So we were all excited in the last meeting. We all left, I think, with a very good feeling about what we accomplished. So we hope you'll share our excitement and enthusiasm about this. And above all else, no matter where the discussion goes, the value of this is agreement. If we leave with agreement, we've accomplished something major. Thank you.
Excuse me, Denny, could you just mention all the contributions?
All the contribution? Yes. Thank you. The other thing is that many people took the time and sent in meaningful and very thoughtful contributions, which we reviewed and incorporated into this document as much as we could. And we tried to acknowledge everyone. We hope we've gotten everyone who did contribute, because there are a lot of people who were behind this, and we'd like to acknowledge everyone and thank everyone for that. So I wanted to turn this over to Anna to go through. And if you want to sit down. Yeah.
Macrobiotic definition. The following is a proposed update on the previously agreed definition. Macrobiotics, noun, with a singular verb, assist. Can everybody hear? Yep. A system of holistic principles and practices that guides choices in nutrition, activity, and lifestyle for physical, emotional, mental, social, and environmental health. Macrobiotic adjectives such as macrobiotic philosophy or macrobiotic diet. Origin, from ancient Greek, macro, large or long, bios, life or way of living, and tics, technicians, practical skills, the art of. Could you roll it up, please, Simon? Thank you, because of your head. Macrobiotic principles and values. The following principles and values are based on the writings of the early 20th century philosopher George Sawa. His and our intention is to cultivate individual and world health, happiness, peace, ecology, social consciousness, and a productive life. Here they are written concisely in modern language. Books, websites, and social media have material for further study. Way of life. Gratitude. Developing a love of life, making the most of every moment, and being grateful for whatever happens, whether it seems positive or negative, is an opportunity to grow. 1 grain, 10,000 grains. In nature, one seed becomes a plant that produces many seeds, thus giving back and increasing. This is a metaphor to continuously act with generosity towards others in all aspects of life, thus giving back more than you receive. Values. Learning to accept people as they are and appreciate each person's life journey. Seek to make honest and positive relationships that fulfill the highest ethics and values in life. Everything changes. By embracing change, humans develop. Macrobiotic living is a way to create beneficial change in life, evolving through experience and as the world changes. Health. 7 conditions of health: vitality, good appetite for natural food and life, deep, refreshing sleep, good memory, cheerful, pleasant outlook, clear thought and action, honesty and appreciation. Self-reflection. Developing the ability to view life from the biggest perspective, from a more objective and non-judgmental place. Living with self-awareness can guide each person toward health. Intuition, an integral part of health, based on inner knowing that comes from a direct connection with nature and beyond. Self-empowerment, the ability to influence your own life and health, is one of the first steps to empowering yourself, leading to a creative, constructive approach to life. Ecology and food. Body and nature are not separate. What we do to the environment greatly affects us. Food and breathing are our direct connection to nature. Through daily meals, regular rising and sleeping times, and daily exercise, we realign with the seasonal cycles of nature every day. Food. Consistent meal times and eating together promote health. A macrobiotic diet is based on combining healthy traditional food, including fresh vegetables, whole grains or their products, beans, fruit, nuts, seeds, pickles, fermented foods, herbs, seasonings, sea vegetables, and teas. Each person is unique and discovers the best food for health based on macrobiotic principles. Many thrive being vegan, and some choose to include a little animal food. Macrobiotics is an open, flexible, and adaptable approach to eating that can include a wide variety of foods for social events and special occasions. Principles for food selection. Prioritize food that has grown and adapted to your climatic region over many centuries, or at least comes from a similar climatic zone. Prefer local and seasonal perishable foods from as close to home as possible, and organic or natural foods with as little chemical additives as possible.
I'd like to say something.
Just a minute.
Or later.
Speak later.
Later. Okay.
Natural preparation. Use natural preparation, cooking techniques and preservation methods to enhance the taste and quality of ingredients and to make nutrients more available. Cooking is a skill that can bring greater sensory and emotional satisfaction to each meal. Adaptability. Order of the universe. Describes the way things come into being in a logical progression through 7 stages. This process forms the philosophical basis of macrobiotics. Unifying principle of yin and yang. I should say of yin-yang. Illustrates the unity and diversity of all phenomena connections and the relative direction of all things. Yin or yang cannot exist or be defined without the other. They are relative terms where things are more yin or more yang relative to something else. Opposites, such as day and night, complete and change into each other. 5 transformations. Phases of change based on times of day and seasons. They combine with yin and yang for further insight and refinement in making daily food, cooking, health, decisions, and lifestyle choices. Thinking. Living with curiosity. Learning to live for yourself. Learning to think for yourself. Macrobiotic education includes asking questions and developing curiosity to help explore life more deeply. Life with a beginner's mind that is open to new and fresh ideas. Be ready to experiment and verify them for yourself. Study traditional cultures that have achieved health, longevity, and harmony with their environment. 7 aspects of consciousness. Helpful guides for self-reflection as we grow and develop. These innate human qualities are physical, sensorial, emotional, intellectual, social, philosophical, and universal love that can turn antagonism into its complement. Authors, we don't need, do we?
Okay, so for me, as Denny said, it's really all about collaboration, and the 5 of us, including Carl, obviously had to let go of our ego quite a lot because we all get attached to different bits of macrobiotics, and something to one person becomes extremely important and almost like a red line. And when we're working together, we really have to drop that, otherwise nothing happens. We don't achieve anything. And we've sent it out to lots of people, published it on Facebook, and lots of people responded, which was great. And we went through everything. Christian wrote a lovely long bit. We went through it word by word and either changed our own writing or took other people's words and put it into this document. And now we have an opportunity together to, we'll discuss it again after lunch, but you know, we can adapt things and add things to it. But at some point we've got to have a cut-off and decide, is this something we can collectively stand behind? Putting our ego to one side for a moment. So part of it is the words itself, and we use primarily Sauer's writing because it's the starting point for all of us. After that, you know, different teachers had different interpretations and different ways of doing that. But we could say that if there's one source, it really is with Sauer for the whole movement. So, is it on this one? Carl went through in great... Yeah, so here we have all the references that we used from Sauer's books, which was really down to Carl, who did that painstakingly, and you can go back and read the books if you want, and it'll all be there. So what we, in the end, I think, collectively, we're very powerful as a group. Individually, we can have our successes and things, and they come and go a little bit, but it's when we can all stand behind something together, which does mean that we have to drop our own individual egos massively, because no one here is going to agree with every part of this. Everyone's going to have some little thing that they would do differently. But at some point we have to be able to say, we're going to do this together, we're a group, and even if there's little bits we disagree with or would word differently, we're going to be in the group because we're more powerful that way. We're more powerful together anyway, but certainly on the internet and other forums, we're much stronger. And so I would invite you to reflect on this, have a think about it. We'll discuss it later, and you can put your comments and questions and so on. But before we leave on Thursday, we're hoping that as many of us as possible, ideally all of us, will be able to say that, yes, we can stand behind this and use it, and that we have some kind of unified message to put out there. And that's really when I think we become much stronger. And I think we then, for me, perhaps the most important part is to be able to work together. Like many people here, I've been to loads of meetings, all the meetings in this series, going back to Misha's birthday, but before that we had loads of conferences and I went to lots of those. But they were very individualistic. There was always a lot of arguing and people wanting their idea to be strong and dismissing other people's. So in our organising group, I sort of made the joke that what would tend to happen is that people would stand up and make a great speech and put something forward, and then the rest of the group would more or less dismiss it. You know, it happened to Bill a couple of times, I think, with the veganism. You know, really good points were made, but rather than seeing how we could do them collectively, it just ended up in a bit of an argument afterwards. And then we went home again and nothing was really achieved. And I think that we definitely don't want to do that. We want to see how we can work together. And that's the main theme and the question and the macro in the whole thing. Because if we can do things together, then we, in a sense, we are being macrobiotic. It's not about trying to tear everything apart all the time, or other people's work for that matter. It's adding on to things, listening, accepting, appreciating, and then if we have another point of view that we want to put into this or anything else we're doing, then making that point. So, and adding on a yes culture, let's say.
Well, basically I wanted to comment a little bit on how handy this document can be. On one side, I wanted to say that for me it was an honor to be with the purple crew. So, even though this was something that I had not thought about before, about the importance of having a document like this, I realized as we did meetings that people who were teaching macrobiotics had not such big different views, but had different views. So coming to an agreement on lots of bits and pieces took a little while. It wasn't easy. But having the document now, I find it can be a really powerful tool for teachers as a handout, just to, you know, for students to have something clear of what macrobiotic is, apart from a diet. People were saying that sometimes we talk of, or people see macrobiotic as a diet only. Even when we do cooking classes, we people who teach cooking basically talk about food, and there is not all this information given in this kind of classes. This could be really handy to have it there. It could be really handy to have it on our website so that people can see unity in macrobiotic. It doesn't matter who we learn with, who we are more familiar or more aligned with. Having something that really we all agreed with can really help us to become stronger. Last year, with the definition, for example, in Spain, I contacted all the people that I knew had websites and presented the definition to see if they agreed with it or not, and asked them to put them on their websites, and most of them agreed. It wasn't something that they had worked with, but they thought, well, yes, this is good, so I'm going to put it in my website. and it's a way of, empowering us. Even though, as Simon said, we might not agree with 100% of it, but yeah. And I was even thinking, even in restaurants, we can have a little leaflet with this definition. It's so brief, but it's so clear at the same time that macrobiotic is not only eating, and that there is a lot more with it, that even, it can be presented in many ways, and in many situations which are not precisely a macrobiotic course for counselors. So todos los de a pie, everyone can benefit from reading these but intense documents.
Thank you.